On the next episode of Whistle Talk, today I have a special treat for all you football enthusiasts out there. Joining me, Mike D, the referee, is none other than the renowned Coach Chip Seagle from the popular YouTube channel Talking Football with Coach Chip. Coach Chip has made a name for himself not only on the field with 40 years of coaching experience, but also in the digital realm, where he operates a popular YouTube channel and now podcast dedicated to helping football coaches at both the high school and youth levels. His passion for giving back to the sport is evident in his availability for speaking engagements, installs, consulting, and Zoom sessions. So whether you're a seasoned official or coach looking to refine your tactics, or a young player eager to learn from the best, you won't want to miss this informative discussion. Get ready to elevate your football IQ as we welcome Coach Chip. That's coming up next on Whistle Talk.
Are you a football fan? Have you ever found yourself wondering what in the world was that ref thinking? Well, Mike D, the referee, is here to help. Join me on Whistle Talk as I talk to professionals on the field and in the booth to help you understand what is going on inside the mind of a football official.
Got his own podcast, has a YouTube channel. Coach Chip is taking the time out to join us this morning. He's missing out on a little fishing right now, which I know is one of his passions outside of coaching right now, but he's taking the time out to join us. So Coach Chip, thank you very much for joining us today. How you doing today?
Mike, I'm golden, man. Thank you for having me. This is awesome. You got a great setup, dude.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So Coach, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your coaching background and your experience?
Well, I started back in the mid-'80s. It's all I ever wanted to do. I say that I was about 15 years old when I figured out what I wanted to do. When I meet up with my old high school teammates, they say, "This is so awesome. You're the only one that's doing exactly what you said you were going to do." And it worked out because it's probably the only thing I'm decent at. And I did that at a lot of small schools in South Alabama. And then I went on and did some bigger schools over the years. And back in 2009, I was looking for something closer to my girlfriend, now my wife, and I took a job at a small school. She lived in Georgia, about 20 miles across the river from Alabama, a little over 20. And I was looking for something closer to her. And I was right about that. There was potential in that relationship, and it has worked out. But
hey, congratulations.
I said, great. I said, a small school, I can go back and finish my career at a small school, which is I enjoyed the smaller schools when I was younger, even though I went to a big school when I was in high school. And went there, and we had a lot of success. It turned out to be a blessing in many ways. Not our relationship blossomed, and we caught lightning in a bottle. We had a good bunch of coaches that came in, and I tell people and the athletes came through, cycled through, and we had a whale of a run from about 2012 until about 2023, when I retired this past May in 24. I had a mild stroke in April that I have talked to some of my YouTuber people about, and I'd had some other health issues back during the season. And I just said, "Lord, you ain't got to hit me again. Twice is enough." And I said, "I'm just going to," and I keep my beak wet, so to speak, with my YouTubes, and my started the podcast. I thought about starting the podcast a while back, and then I said, "Well, if I retire, I'll have time to do it." And so I'm staying busy, like you said. I'm fishing a lot. I'm making more content. I figured out how to do shorts on YouTube.
Okay.
And it's crazy. This McDonald's microwave fast food world we live in, people want fast information.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there thinking, like, why would you watch? But that's just the world we live in. And it's even people my age and a little younger that would rather watch 1 minute or watch 10 things that are a minute long. My wife, she's my age, and she's a TikTok freak. She gets a lot of, and
Yep.
Now, she does a lot of it for entertainment, too, because there's some funny people on TikTok. But she gets a lot of her recipes from TikTok. It's crazy, and the way the world's gone, but that's the way it is. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but that's the way it is. But over the years, all that coaching and those many stops, I think it was total, when you count the ones that I did in Georgia, it's about 10 schools over 40 years. And I know that averages out to one every 4 years. And it sounds like moving around a lot. But two of those, one was 10 years and one was 12 years. So that means I was even
Okay.
shorter at those other places. But
And that's the nature of the beast.
that is, I can't say though, the only time I did get fired was when a whole staff firing. And they said, "Are you going to resign?" I said, "No, I'm going to make them fire me." I said, "I ain't never been fired." They got the whole staff that time, but I could have resigned that time and got out of town one step ahead of the law, so to speak. But I stayed in it and I just kept studying it. And it got to be easier to study it because of the advent of the internet in the 90s and the 2000s. And I became a better football coach because the information was out there. Because I was at schools that we didn't have the money to send us to Atlanta or Birmingham for a clinic. I mean, rural country schools in South Alabama, I can tell people what I was making back in the 80s and 90s, and they'll swear I'm lying if they're not from down here. And that's where all of that got me to where I am now. And this whole thing with YouTube, it's Football Talk with Coach Chip. Let's get that promo out there.
Absolutely.
And the podcast is Football Talk with Coach Chip, the podcast. And I learned that from Kenny Simpson. Keep everything the same so people can find you. Everything Kenny Simpson does is FB Coach Simpson.
Well, Coach, I will have that on the show notes too for the listeners out there, because to give you some props with it, I've been watching the YouTube channel myself, still coaching my son's team. So Coach and I were talking before I hit record here how I'm going to be hitting them up for some more information, because we're going to be installing counter for the 12-year-old age bracket. So a little power counter game and then some play action stuff. So it is definitely a great resource. And shoot, Coach, over 40 years of coaching experience. That's an awesome feat. Congratulations with that. And congratulations on the official retirement. I know when we spoke, you said you retired from teaching, and now you are retired. So no longer.
I'm retired. That's the exact term I use, Mike. I'm retired. And you mentioned fishing. I'm going fishing this evening with my stepson. So he hit me up yesterday and he said, "Hey, I'm off tomorrow and Wednesday. What day you want to go?" And I said, "Hey, let's go tomorrow, So we'll go out there. I tell people I don't really fish. I take my lures out for a swim.
There you go.
Yeah. So
yeah, sometimes something might jump on it, but you never know. At least the lures are staying nice and cool. So Coach, now, as you know, you are on Whistle Talk. So and here's where you get to you got those stripes behind me and whatnot. So over 40 years, I'm sure you've seen some things that you've liked and possibly haven't liked so much when it comes to officiating. Being you just retired a couple of years ago, tell me, like, what rule changes that have come into place now that weren't in play? What kind of rules do you like now that we have today?
I like the stuff that protects the kids. I sometimes disagree with guys my age. Everybody says we're old school and they say football ain't football anymore. I said, listen, dude, if we don't do something to protect these kids, and then we're not going to have a game to coach, or you and I be gone and the kids we're coaching won't have a game to coach. Y'all say we might as well put flags on them. I said, come on, man, do you hyperbole much? And I think protecting the kids, I like that. I like the things that, even though I used to coach a lot of defense, the last 20 years I was predominantly offense. I like the stuff that helps offense.
Okay.
Even though I know that defense wins championships. I know that. But I do know, too, that offense puts butts in those bleachers.
1,000%.
And that's what attracts kids to play. Not many kids are going to come out because you have a reputation of being a hard-nosed team that plays good defense and wins games 14-7 the way it used to be. And they will come out when you're scoring 30 or 40 points a game. And they have a chance to do what they see on TV. And we don't have to like it. Well, I'll give you an example. Back in 2020, a lot of these coaches were mad about wearing masks and about the COVID protocols. And they said, "What do you think?" I said, "I don't care." I said, because if I don't do it, they're not going to let me coach.
Yeah, and now we're still playing football.
Yeah, and I'm going to do whatever, short of doing something illegal or unethical, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get to coach. That's the way I looked at it. And it's like one of the kings of France was a Protestant. And they told him, they said, "You can't be king unless you become a Catholic." So he converted. And somebody asked him, "Why did you convert?" He says, "Because the throne of France is well worth a mask." And I said, coaching football is well worth a mask.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that is true.
And and so the rule changes to me, they really haven't changed the essence of the game. What's changed the game is the spread offenses.
Okay.
And I have a theory on that. I don't think when I played we had that many undiagnosed concussions because we played football in a phone booth, Mike.
Yes.
You know,
3
and
yards in a cloud of dust.
you know, I used to joke back in my 20s and 30s when Mike Tyson came out, they said, "Would you fight him?" I said, "Yeah, in a phone booth." You know, I was a big old boy. I said, and they said, "Really? You'd fight him?" I said, "Yeah, in a phone booth. He can't rear back and hurt me too bad." And when you play football in a phone booth, I just think that the injuries were a little bit lower. But when you spread the field and you got kids crossing the field and you got linebackers and safeties that can tee off on them, I think a lot of our concussions now are because of the way the game's being played. Not that I don't like spread football. I'm just, that is my opinion, that
That's interesting, Coach.
the injury of it, again, I say you're less likely to get hurt in a phone booth than you are in a pasture. You know, so because they can rear back and hit.
Yep. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, apologize. Had some technical difficulties, but we're back here with Coach Chip. Hopefully, the internet gods are on our side this time. So, do some editing post wrap. But, Coach, we were talking about with the health of the game and the speed of the game, and you had talked about the spread offense and whatnot of possibly being something that it has sped up the game and possibly led to some concussions. But then we had some internet issues, so I want to let you kind of jump back in. You said you had a nice little soliloquy that you were mentioning before that we got cut off of.
Well, all I was saying was that, you know, getting in a fight with a phone booth, you may get beat up a little bit, but you're not going to get knocked out. And when you're playing in a wide open field, you know, I use Mike Tyson as an example. Would you rather fight him in a big old ring or would you rather fight him in a phone booth? And I think with us spreading the field, that has led to more concussions and at least more high-speed collisions. You just didn't see those back in the 70s and early 80s when I played. The only time I ever got my bell rung when I played in college at practice was on kickoff return or kickoff team.
And
you know,
that's
I was
where we're
running down
still
the
seeing
field.
a lot of the things.
Right. And I can see that eventually. And people say, well, that's a major part of the game. But there's things they're doing. The XFL, whatever they're calling it now, UFL.
Yeah, the UFL.
They're doing some cool things with it. And I'm a guy, I love special teams. And I had a reputation when I was in South Alabama as being the onside kick guy. And that's one of the reasons why I would never want to take away the ability to do a surprise onside kick. There's actually, I mean, there were many games I left getting cussed out because I onside kicked so much and how I was making a mockery of the game. And here's a coaching point. If you don't have a kicker who can kick it in the end zone and you kick off deep every time, you need your brain examined. Yep. So everybody puts their best athlete back deep. So we're going to take the football and literally hand it to the best athlete on the field and turn the field into a slalom course like downhill skiing in the Olympics. And they're just running around players like skiers going around those gates in a slalom. So I'm not going to kick it to you. Yeah. If I got a kid that can kick it really high, I'm going to pooch kick it. And if I got a kid that can, if I don't have that, we're going to onside kick it. We're going to sweep kick it. And we're going to have a chance to recover it and steal a possession or two. Heck, I won a game back in the 80s when I was still back then in those small schools. You know, you'd be the varsity coach, but you'd also be the junior high coach.
Okay.
We had a junior high game. We won 14-12, and the other team only got the ball 3 times.
Wow.
I went for it on 4th down, and we scored twice. We onside kicked it. They had it at the end of the game trying to score. And we beat them 14-12. They had the ball 3 times. They scored 2 out of 3 times they had it. And we just kept it away from them.
Ball in their hands. Yep.
No, and I knew they were better than us. But so I don't want to take that away, but I do understand where it's going, and I understand the rules as long as they make sense. And one of the things, riddle me this, Batman, we're protecting defensive linemen and defensive players with the below the waist blocks.
Yes.
But yet the guy with the football is free game to be hit anywhere.
Yes. Yep.
Tell me, where does that make sense? A guy with the football gets squared up in the open field, kid hits him and locks up. Now everybody runs to him like buzzards to a meat wagon, pounding him. Meanwhile, back on the line at the beginning of the play, you got a guy face to face with a guy across from him. He knows it's about to hit him. He knows, and my thing is, I think y'all be able to hit him anywhere as long as it's from in front.
Okay.
Now that's hitting from the side. That's bad. But if you're in a three check, go ahead.
Yeah, that's I think where the rule was coming into, is because we were seeing, before they put the rule in play, we were seeing a lot of high lows, unfortunately, and that's where
right. That's a good rule. That's a good rule.
And so they were trying to get rid of that because we were having a lot of blown knees right at the line of scrimmage from the high low, or from, and I'm guilty of it myself, and I've mentioned this in some of my previous shows, I was a triple option guy for a couple of years. I used to go to Navy clinics and sit down with Coach Niamatololo, and a major part of their offense was the backside cut block of trying to get the guys down to allow that B back, that cut back on midline. But they took that aspect out, and I thought I personally did a good job of teaching 14, 15, 16-year-old kids how to do it correctly. But in the heat of the moment, fatigue, different things sets in, and all of a sudden the kid loses all his technique. And now we had a kid get injured because our kid kind of got lazy on it and ended up going and tore the kid's ACL. So it's something that I like the rule. It's difficult sometimes to enforce. And now, referring to what you're talking about with tackling, now we're going to have, you're seeing it in the NFL with that hip drop. I'm interested to see how they're going to call that. Like, that's a bang bang type play that a high level athlete is doing, of getting hold of somebody. Derrick Henry, 250 pounds, running a 40, and they're doing everything they can to try to bring this guy to the ground. So now they're saying that they can't grab him and drop to the ground with him because of knee injuries. So that's where I think it's going to be a little bit harder. And as the ball carrier, they're kind of that's why you're seeing the running back value go lower and lower, because the number of years that they're putting in are not there anymore. So the average years for the running back, you're not seeing the Emmitt Smiths and the Walter Paytons going out there for 15, 16 years anymore. You're seeing maybe you get 5 good years out of a player, and then the injuries are setting in. So, but yeah, no, I don't disagree with it.
I just I want consistency, and that's not to do with the referees. That's to do with the rule makers. I want consistency with the rules. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to tell you something that I hate, and it's not a rule. I guess it could be. A referee could call this, but they would be taking liberties with the rule book if they did. The gator tackle, the Seahawks called it the hawk tackle.
Yep, the wrap and roll.
Yeah. I forget his name right now. He was number 9 at Alabama, and he's playing in the league. He played for the Raiders for a long time. The kid is from Miami originally. He got his leg broke in a game about 10 years ago at Alabama because a kid tackled him, did the gator roll, hawk tackle. And when they go down, he keeps rolling. And we had a kid about the same time that I was coaching that was a stud running back, and teams were starting to do that then too. And he got a bad ankle. Really cost him his senior year, but because they would tackle him and keep rolling. And I would tell the referees, I said, you ought to call that. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, once he's down, if they keep rolling, that's unnecessary roughness. I said, that's where you're getting twisted ankles. You had guys in college getting broken legs because when they would tackle them and they would do that roll, and sometimes their leg would get caught under the tackler's body and they just keep rolling. And that's how the legs got broke.
Yeah.
And because they talk about how the hawk tackle was safer. Okay, so now we're sacrificing to protect concussions, but we're sacrificing leg injuries. And you can poll any major college or NFL player, hit me in the head, stay away from my legs.
I remember when they put the rule in the NFL, Rob Gronkowski was one of the biggest proponents about coming out about guys taking out his legs when they put the rule in. And I mean, Gronk's a big boy, still is a big boy today, and he would love people trying to tackle him high. And sure as heck, the first year that they had that rule in play, he ended up getting his ACL torn because somebody went down low and got him right in the knee. So it's a fine line, and it's definitely something that I know the Federation is always looking into and doing research and trying to figure out the best ways to do it. But it seems like today we take one thing away and another thing shows up. So that's where the fine line keeps on happening. We're working on the head injuries, and now you're seeing more of the lower body injuries. Now working on the lower body injuries. What's going to happen next?
Oh yeah, the law of unintended circumstances is real.
Yes.
You take away one thing, you create another thing. So,
And I also think, to your point too, we're me now in high school, I love it as an official. The turf fields. I think the turf fields are fantastic. I feel better on the turf fields. But now you're hearing all the NFL guys, they want to get rid of the turf fields. But I know at the high school level, maintenance wise, it's just so much easier. And financially, after you do the initial finances of it, it's a lot easier for the multiple sports because it's not getting torn up. But now we're finding it's got more and more wear and tear on the athletes themselves. So
I love them too.
Yeah, the NFL goes in.
I love them too. I do. From somebody who had to maintain fields for 40 years. Yeah. And when I was younger, I love mowing. I love getting on a lawnmower for 2 hours and just keeping my thoughts and all that. Some of my greatest ideas came up on a lawnmower, but and the painting of it and all that. And we didn't have one. We played on them a lot. Our kids loved them. The coaches loved them. And we're getting one at the school I just retired from. We were supposed to get it for this season, but it didn't come through. The money was there. Just one thing led to another, but they're eventually going to get it done because it's a small school, multiple use. We have a local college that wants to use our field, but we can't let them because we already got the junior high playing on it.
Yep.
The rec league plays on it. We play on it. Heck, in 19, the last state championship we won, we had to play the third round on a school nearby because second round we played in a monsoon. I was kind of like the Big Lebowski when they blew up his car on Saturday morning. I got and went, looked at my field and I said, they finally did it. They killed my field. I mean, we couldn't play the next week. Yep. And so, but I have not, and I'm not going to argue with an NFL player who play on them all the time, but at our level, I have not seen injuries as a result of that. And we did a lot of research on it, talked to teams that had it. They hadn't either. It could be just the fact that they're playing at such a higher level that, faster.
But bigger, faster, stronger.
Yeah. And I think there's a point too where I think the physical fitness, the strength and conditioning, I literally think you can get your muscles too strong for your tendons, your ligaments, and your bones. And
I've seen it in other sports, such as my son plays baseball, and I've seen it with the bigger baseball. Heck, I'm sitting here drinking out of my New York Yankees mug. Giancarlo Stanton's back on the IL again because he keeps on having muscle injuries, and it's stuff like that. But it's just tough because then how do you moderate that as a coach when the other team is doing it? And that goes back to the whole, and we're not going to get into this topic, but the whole steroid era with baseball is they're doing it. Why can't we do it? So the pitchers were doing it, the hitters were doing it, and records were being shattered, but then more injuries were happening because of it. So, and careers were actually being shortened by some people, and other people were being lengthened because of the steroid era. So, it's a different time, and like I said, if you put one rule into place to try to make it safer for the kids going back to football, somehow, some way, something else is going to come into play. And unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast, and it is still a contact sport. I still, to this day, it's not a contact sport. It's a collision sport. It's a car accident waiting to happen. And
Duffy Doherty said it. He said, football is not a contact sport. It's a collision sport. All-room dancing is a contact sport.
Yes. So you got young men and females now running downfield full speed. I mean, heck, back in our day, Coach, Derrick Henry, what position, if he's walking on the field, are you putting him at when you first see him?
Linebacker or defensive end?
Yeah, and possibly if he's playing both ways, he might be my guard.
Yeah, but no, as fast as he was, though, he is.
But he's a freak. He's a freak in nature physically. He's a big fat, and he deserves to be a running back. But back in the day, those guys that big, they were on the line. They were a grunt. So
yeah, oh, absolutely. One of the best running backs I ever coached. He was a lineman until we got him. Yeah. So we got him and said, no, you're going to run the football. First spring he played. That's when we went to the 10-day spring. 10 practices, he got tackled 3 times. 10 practices, he got tackled to the ground 3 times. Rest of the time, we either blew the whistle because he was toting the pile, or he ran out of bounds. He was a freak. But back to the officiating, let me say this about officiating. I know there's an official shortage, but apparently the shortage has been caused by some of the worst officials have gotten out of it, because officiating right now, to me, at the high school level where I was coaching, is at an all-time high. The quality of officiating. And believe you me, and I stayed on officials. I still remember about 20-something years ago going to a district meeting, and the executive director of the state of Alabama was there. And he said, guys, get off the officials' backs. He said, they're doing the best they can, all this kind of stuff. And I remember that. But whatever they're doing around here, it's better than it's ever been. Because awesome. when I first started in the 80s, I swear to goodness, they were doing it for beer money. I mean, it was horrible. They said the worst thing you can do is bring out the rule book during the game and show the official. They guys didn't even know the rules.
Yeah.
And, things like that. Like, we were playing in a junior high game one time. It was a junior game. It was 9th grade and below. The other team was out there in the first half throwing the ball around like the 49ers. And somehow their ball ended up on our side of the field. Our ball boy had it, and he said, hey, Coach Chip, this ball's different from ours. And I looked at it. They're playing with a little ball. Oh. And we were playing, and I told the referee at halftime, I said, they can't play with that ball. And they said, Coach, it's a junior high game. I said, no, National Federation says if 9th graders are involved, you must use a varsity football. He said, really? And I said, yeah. He said, and I didn't have to get out the rule book, and because the guy knew the guy. I played a lot of softball back in the 80s, and we knew each other really well. And he goes, I believe you. And so he went and told the other team, and they said they can't do it. They don't have any. I said, I got a bag full. Tell them to have their pick. Well, that wound them up throwing the ball all the time, looking like the 49ers, kids out there making one-handed catches. You got 15-year-old 9th graders catching a peewee ball with one hand. Yeah. And there's things like that. They didn't know the rules. That's just one example. But nowadays, I could say, and I don't know if it's because of technology or whatever, they're more professional than they've ever been, and they're more knowledgeable than they've ever been. And like I said, I stayed on them. And but the last few years, I've been tickled with the officiating. As far as we didn't get every call, but that's the human nature of the game. You just hope that you're good enough that it doesn't come down to an official's call at the end of the game. That's the last thing is any coach. They don't want it to come down to a judgment call. And just like I tell the kids all the time, a kid makes a mistake at the end of the game, and you tell the team it's not his fault. What about that block you missed in the first quarter? What about that tackle you missed in the second? What about that coverage you blew in the third quarter? And fans and other people, they're always prisoners of the moment. The last thing that happened is what cost the game. No, there were several things that happened during the course of the game. And that's the same thing with officials. The official may blow a call at the end of the game. Here's the thing you got to know. You know this. I'm talking to the listeners. Officials are going to blow calls, period. Coaches are going to miss calls and make the wrong call. Players are going to miss assignments. The only thing you hope is that all three of those things don't happen at the end of the game.
Yeah, 100%.
And because the official now is the GOAT, if it was his call. And when I say GOAT, I don't mean greatest of all time.
No, I know.
The coach made a bad decision. Now he's the GOAT. A DB blew a coverage, gave up a touchdown at the end. Now he's the GOAT. That's all nobody knows what happened. Hell, something could have happened the first play of the game that cost the game.
Or go back and take a look. What was your third down efficiency? You were 3 for 12 during the game. Well, that's 9 other opportunities you had to gain a first down that the other team doesn't have the ball. Different things like that. And
exactly.
And every single play is important from your standpoint as a coach, from the player standpoint, and from our standpoint. Like, we can't take plays off regardless, because you got to look at the totality of everything, not just the individual play. Yeah, that play sucked. Yeah, that play looks bad. But is that the reason why you won or lost the game? Is that particular reason? And again, coaching 20 years, I know that I've made some crap calls. I've made calls right away, and then I realized, shoot, I don't even have a timeout to try to fix it. and I put the players in a bad position. Where as a coach, my whole job, especially if I was coaching defense, is let me put you in the right positions. Now it's up to you to make plays. Well, there's times where I've put them in bad positions and they didn't have the ability to make those plays from the coaching standpoint. And again, we try not to do it from the official standpoint, but sometimes it does happen. Sometimes the kids screw up. So it is the totality of the sport itself, not just play one. And I was just going back. See, now the nice thing, and you brought it up before with the technology, here in New Jersey, we have Huddle. So we have Huddle, and we are getting game films of the games that we are officiating, and we are reviewing them. We've been having online Zoom meetings as an association and going over particular plays and different things like that. So the year-long knowledge aspect is now coming into a part on the officiating. So hopefully the officiating is becoming more consistent. But when you do have a shortage, sometimes the quantity might not be as good as the quality that you're looking for, and that is unfortunate. But hopefully, we're stepping up in both aspects. But unfortunately, right now, the quantity aspect, the number of officials, we are still at an all-time low across the country, and there's a lot of different factors that played into that. But hopefully, what you're getting is a better game. But sometimes when you got 15 games on a Friday night and one association is assigning the officials, some games might not get the best quality officials those nights, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing, too. On social media, and this is to the fans, every time you post something, like I don't have any clue why this always popped up on my feed. All those Angel Hernandez videos showing those horrible calls. Yeah, he was not a good umpire, apparently. But, if you think how many, there's 162 games in Major League Baseball. I don't know how many of these umpires officiate. But if you go through and cherry pick 162 opportunities, and I don't know how many pitches in a Major League game, and all those, multiply that for a bad call, you're going to have bad calls. Not to say he wasn't a good official or a bad official. I'm just saying every time you post these things, you're costing high school teams officials, because nobody wants to be made fun of that way. Nobody wants to be put on blast publicly. And every time, and I don't know why they popped up. I guess because I've watched so many sports videos on social media, they say it comes in. I don't like them. I don't click on like. I don't react to them. I don't know why they kept coming up. When he retired, I said, thank God, maybe I'll quit seeing these cockeyed videos all the time. And I would get where I would skip them. But every time you post something or tweet something or whatever you're doing with it, you're hurting high school sports, because everything trickles down. And some 23-year-old kid that's thinking about being official, and he sees all these officials getting lambasted on social media. And here's a volunteer at a little league game that makes a bad call. And next thing you know, it goes viral. Well, who wants to put themselves in that kind of mess? And so a lot of these people doing this, and a lot of it is parents, they're hurting the officials. I don't think because even though coaches will get on an official hard after the game, it's over. And I very rarely have I seen it bleed over. And I'll tell you this, we have a law in Alabama that's been in the books for over 20 years. A game officials law. It applies to coaches. It applies to referees. It applies to everybody. That it's a different kind of felony if you even threaten them.
Yep.
Alabama's one of the first states to do it. And it wasn't because what coaches were doing to officials they passed that law. It was, and I'll tell you exactly. I won't say the name of the town, but there was a town where this happened, where they had to protect the officials in their changing room, and they couldn't get them out. They couldn't get to their cars because of the fans, parents. Yep. They had to back the ambulance up to the door, Mike, put the officials in the ambulance and take them out like they were some type of presidential nominee having to get Secret Service protection. And not long after that is when that law passed. That was 20-something years ago. Because I remember thinking now, and I said, dude, it's over now. What do you expect to happen? You go beat a guy up over a high school football game? What are we going to do? We're going to tar and feather him over a high school football game? And listen, and I made a living doing it, and I didn't take it that serious. It blew my mind. I'm embarrassed we got to have the law.
It's unfortunately, and we were talking about the nature of the beast with the game of football, but unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast with society these days. When you're
Oh yeah.
seeing the social media stuff and people are thinking that that is the acceptable way to be and that is the norm, that's unfortunately what we're getting. And I get on my children. My kids are younger, and I can't say I'm not guilty of it myself. I am on social media. I'm trying to promote the podcast, promote officiating, but some of the stuff that's out there, it's tough. It's tough. And again, you got to take it with Twitter and with TikTok and stuff like that. You got to know your source when you're seeing some of these different things too. And just I talk about it with research. I'm a teacher, so where are you getting your research from? Where are you getting your information from? Wikipedia is not the end all be all. Wikipedia is a guy like Mike D, the referee, who goes in there and types up something on Coach Chip Seagle and publishes it on Wikipedia. So it's not all fact checked. So make sure you know where you're getting your information from, and that hey, you want to know something? Officially, you did blow that call. Have a good night. I'm okay. I'm thick skinned, and you want to know something? And I'll tell a coach, I missed that one. I'm sorry. And I'll go back and I'll review film. And it's actually funny. I was scrolling through my phone, and we got a text strand with my crew, and the crew that I'm on, not my crew, but the crew that I'm on, that we go back and we watch the film. And one of the guys on our crew, hey, Mike, check out play number 39. Good call on that one. Maybe check out 76. Maybe we could have had a hold on that and different thing like that. And we go back and forth, and we go and coach ourselves with it to try to become that better crew in general, and to try to prevent this stuff from happening. So there are groups out there like that. There are official groups out there that are doing these things, just like the coaches. And I harp on this. I'm putting in the work because I know the coaches are putting in the work, and I know the kids are putting in the work. I want them to have the best experience. I've been joking around on my social media. I've been going out for runs because I know the kids are out there in this heat, busting their ass, working out and getting ready for the football season. I can't go walking out onto the field looking like an overgrown blueberry right now. I got to go out there and look like ready to officiate a game for them. So I got to be ready too. So I'm in my preseason mode as well.
Good. And that's what we always, when we started doing tempo, and I said, don't flip the ball, hand the ball to the referee. And they said, which one? I said, the fat guy, because that's always the umpire.
That's me. I am the umpire in the middle of the field.
I said, look for the fat guy. I said, he's the one that marks the ball. But the adversarial thing, that the coaches are totally in control of that. And that can help with the fans too. If the coach is creating an adversarial relationship with the officials, with his body language, that antagonizes, and it distracts the kids, but it antagonizes the fans as well. And I approached it the last 10, 15 years of my career where, hey, I don't rip the kids on Friday night. My philosophy has been for years, Monday through Wednesday, which is our 3 work days in high school football.
Yep.
They belong to me. I tell the kids they belong to me. I said, those practices are mine. I said, I'm going to ride you. I'm going to fuss at you. I'm going to get on you. I said, Thursday, that's just going through stuff. Friday is your day. That's Friday night's your time to shine. And if you do something that needs serious correcting, I put my arm around them. I talk to them, and their parents go, oh, look at Coach Chip. He's just loving on our boy. No, I'm calling him everything but a child of God because he missed something that we went over a lot. But you think I'm loving on him because I'm not going to embarrass that kid in front of his friends, classmates, and family. Well, I started approaching officials the same way. Do away with the histrionics, put on a show for the fans and just say, hey, dude, you blew that. And everybody thinks they don't even know we're talking. Because I'm not even looking at it. I'm just near him. And the officials appreciate that. They'll have a dialogue with you as long as you're not, as the kids say nowadays, fronting them, putting them on blast for everybody. And I try to cut up with them and all that. Just let them know it's not an adversarial thing. And here's the other thing, too, and this goes to any coaches that listen to Mike D, the referee on Whistle Talk, is
Thank you.
You cannot let a bad call beat you twice. By going so crazy, you're not getting the next call in but you're affecting the kids. They now think no matter what we do, they're going to cheat us. Coach Chip is, he said the guys are cheating us. And now the kids have that defeatist mentality because you've made it apparent the officials are out to get your team, which is not the case 99.9999999% of the time. You got to get that out of it too. And when there is a bad call, you got to have that next play mentality, that next rep mentality. Okay, let the official know, I think you blew that one, but we got to get the next defensive call in. We got to get the next play in. I like getting the play in a hurry so we can go fast. I like getting the play in a hurry so we can have plenty of time to shift and get motions in and do something to get the defense in the back. And I can't do that if I'm over there worried about a call that you blew. And maybe you're going to blow them. And that's human nature. And I am too. I think I told you this. We talked on the phone over a month ago. We missed one play, one game. We missed the playoffs. But you know what? We did a bad job of getting that play in. Now, there were 5 or 6 times. It was when I told you about the aiding the runner stuff.
Yep.
They were getting first downs because they were aiding the runner. But if we, as coaches, did a better job on that one play at the end of the first half, those bad no calls wouldn't have mattered because we'd have won the game. If we as coaches, and that's what I told my coaches, we got to fix that because that's what cost us the game. Yeah, I know. And I'm going to send those clips into the association where they allowed that. And I'm going to tell them but I'm not going to tell them that cost us the game because if we do our job on that last play of the first half, we win that game.
Yep.
So,
and again,
that goes back to what we mentioned earlier.
Totality. Yep. It's the whole game. It's not just a particular play. All right, Coach. So with that, we're going to take a quick pause here. And when we come back, I got a couple of video clips for you with some plays. And I want to see if you, as the coach with the experience that you have, if you can pick out what the penalty may or may not be. So we're gonna test the coach. It's a little bit different. I have a quiz facts, what I normally do with the coaches, but try with the video one. So this is like Jeopardy with the video answer or whatever they say it on Jeopardy.
I'm going to ask you. We're going to have Jeopardy music?
There's no time limit with it, but we're going to try it with the video. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to come back so we can test Coach Chip out on his officiating knowledge. See if we can maybe get him out of the retirement, the double retirement, and maybe get some stripes on him. But hold tight. We'll be right back.
If you're enjoying today's show and you want to show your appreciation to Mike D, you can buy him a beer by clicking on the link in the show notes or go to buymeacoffee.com/Mike D the referee. And as always, make sure to click follow and give 5 stars. Thanks for listening. Cheers.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, here we are back with Coach Chip. Again, make sure you go back to check out Coach Chip's website. Coach, if you want to plug that YouTube page again for us, and then we'll jump into our penalties here.
It's Football Talk with Coach Chip on YouTube. You can Google Coach Chip, and depending on the day, it's going to be me or it's going to be Chip Kelly. And so those are the 2 chips. And then the podcast right now is just on Spotify. I've got a guy coming over this afternoon that's going to try to show me how to get it on Apple. And that's Football Talk with Coach Chip, the podcast.
All right, so check out those sites. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, and go to my YouTube page also and hit like and subscribe too. Much appreciated by both of us. So, yes, Coach, as I was mentioning before, I like to do a coach's quiz for each one of my coaches that I have, and typically I've just got a PowerPoint slide. But are you able to see the video that I have open right now?
It's small, but I'm going to zoom in here.
Okay, let me see if I can try to make it bigger. Nope, that minimizes it. All right, so we're going to try to do our best here for Coach, and hopefully give him the opportunity to see all this. So, Coach, what we got here is we're going to have what looks like a typical offensive play. I'm going to hit play here, and let me see if you can pick out what the penalty on this play could be. So we got a spread formation, player going in motion, little jet sweep action, flea flicker, and now the quarterback rolls, and we got a completed pass downfield. Coach, you got anything here?
Well, I am a jet guy. My first few videos on my YouTube are jet. And if I'm ever going to throw a jet pass with the jetter throwing the pass, I don't use that touch pass because that counts as a forward pass. And so right now, I would say that was 2 forward passes on one play that
That is
should have been called.
That is 100% correct, and I'm playing the same clip again for those people that are able to watch the video aspect. That little flip pass now is kind of taken away the jet sweep action, and the rationale with that jet sweep flip pass is that if that kid fumbles the ball, he doesn't get it cleanly. It's now an incomplete pass instead of a fumble. So a lot of teams for their jet sweep have gone to that little pop pass instead of the handoff. And because that pop pass is now considered a pass, once we had the reverse action, flipping it back to the quarterback, and that quarterback making that second pass, now we got an illegal forward pass there. So you got two passes on that one. And it's a difficult one to catch. And it's one of those plays where, as officials, we like hearing from the coaches, especially from the opposing coaches. Hey, just keep an eye out for the little pop pass. And the teams that are running it, we like them to inform us, hey, when we run jet, we do it as the pop pass. So if you see the ball on the ground, it's going to be an incomplete. It's not going to be a fumble, so that we're getting it right on both sides. So, Coach, good job. 1 for 1 on that. We got the 2 forward passes. So let's get
Are
to.
you old enough to remember when you could throw 2 forward passes as long as the first one was caught behind the line?
So
it was only in high school. It's only been about 10, 15 years ago where they changed the rule. Used to, you could throw the double pass and the first one be forward as long as it was caught behind the line. And the Federation was the only ones that did that because we used to do that. And it got changed about 15 years ago or so. Yep.
All right. So our next play here, Coach, this one is going to be a little bit tougher for you to see. So we got a swinging gate formation. We got a muddle huddle formation, but we don't have a muddle huddle formation on a kick play. We got a muddle huddle formation on, and if you can see it at home, it's third down, about 7 or 8, middle of the field. They're on the minus 48-yard line, and they're in a muddle huddle formation. So you'll see center is going to be uncovered. You're going to have 2 eligible receivers on the bottom of the screen. An eligible receiver because they're off the ball. So formationally, they look like they're okay. So guys are off the ball.
4 in the backfield, they're good.
Got motion. Center is eligible because he's by number and he is the last covered player. So, Coach, anything that you could see on that might be penalty?
No, the formation was good, but I couldn't see the numbers of the other guys. If that's their regular extra point field goal team, with a bunch of eligible numbers over there at the top of the screen, then that could be legal. It goes back to that A11. They had to put that rule in a few years ago because the A11 offense that you had to have 5 ineligibles on the field at one time. But I can't see it. But the referees could have seen it if that was the case.
Yep. So that's exactly what we have going on. And I paused it. And what you have here, let me try to back it up a little bit. So you got it in a regular kick game. So if this was an extra point, if this was a field goal, punt, the number rule does not apply, meaning that you could have number 24 as your guard. But on a regular scrimmage play, what this is, because you're in a regular offensive set, you must have 5 players on the field with numbers 50 through 79. And up top here, you have a tight end here, number 88, I think is his number, being covered up, and then you only have 4 eligible or 4 ineligible players by number, where on a scrimmage play here, you got to have 5 ineligible players by number. So this should be an illegal formation, and they kind of got away with it. And this is one of those ones that we went back on film and we're like, oh boy, we missed it. So you'll see this player right here, number 88. He was a tight end that was covered up by the eligible center. So that's one that they kind of got away with, and we let them know next game. So this was, again, review. This wasn't my crew, but we talked about this in our association meeting. We got brought up and saying, hey, guys, we missed this one. They're ineligible by number, eligible by formation, but ineligible because of the number violation.
Cool. But I like that coach's imagination, though.
Oh, yeah. And this was a team that went to the state championship. They're actually one of the few veer teams left that we have. They're running the flex bone typically in their offense, and they do a heck of a job with it.
God bless them.
All right, Coach, I got one more clip for you here. And you'll notice you said make sure to give the ball to that fat guy. Well, that fat guy is me right there in the middle. I'm the umpire in this play.
Oh, you're
We're
a
going to have
skinny umpire.
well, I'm trying. I'm trying to get a little bit skinnier. But let's see if you could find anything on this play here. So we got motion coming across, spread formation, screen, and we got a tackle. Play is over. Coach, anything that you see there?
I didn't see it. I didn't see anything. Let me see it again, which gives you an idea how hard it is to figure that out.
So right here, I
Did
paused
he
at number 55.
did he catch the
I don't
ball
know if you
across
can
the line of scrimmage?
No, everything is good screen wise. My question is, do you have a hold on this play? So let me back it up a little bit.
Oh, no, the answer is no. No, I'm an old offensive line guy. If I ever tell an official that's holding, he better throw the flag just for general principle, because I don't see holding. Like I said, I coached
So,
offensive line for the majority of my career.
so
Yeah.
I can tell you right now that the white team was not very happy with this non-call because I did not call it. Did he have a little bit of a rap? Yeah. But here's my
Yeah.
rationale behind it. Where's that defender already? He's already taken himself out of the play. The hold is not going to affect this play at all. It's a very short grab. And again, I keep on rewinding it. We'll let it play through. But he's already taken himself to an inside angle when the running back
Yep.
was already going outside. I'm not throwing that. 10 out of 10 times, I'm not throwing that. Now,
Did
I
you
do got
see
to
it?
give props here.
Did you see it during the game?
I did. And I heard the coaches yelling, and my rationale, I went over, Coach, it's not a hold. It didn't affect the play. Your defender took himself out of the play. I'm not going to throw that one. If he tried to work himself across the face and the hold happened, yeah, I'll throw that one because now it did affect the play. But that player took himself out of the play by where his attack point was. So we're
I
we're
love that,
looking
Mike.
for a couple of we're looking for three keys when it comes to holding, and that's actually going to be a whole nother episode. I'm doing a whole nother episode about holding coming up, but we're looking for three keys, and I need to be able to say in my head, did A, B, and C happen? Then I got to hold. If it didn't happen, I'm not throwing it. So my crew, we're kind of notorious. We don't throw many flags. We want the kids to play football, wind the clock, and get going. But if it's a point of the attack, if it's a safety foul, if it's an egregious foul, we're going to throw it. We're going to throw it when it needs to be thrown. I would rather go to the coach and say, Coach, have your kid work his hands inside. Have him move his feet more. I'm going to warn, hey, 65, make sure you're not hooking them. Make sure you didn't get a wrap on that. All right. So, and talking with them and try to do some preventative officiating. So I did not throw that flag on that particular play.
Oh, I love that. And that was something I got roped into coaching soccer several years ago because I had the CDL license and the soccer coach didn't. And so I got an assistant coach's supplement to drive the bus. And one of the things I learned about soccer that I wish we'd do more in football is what you just said. If you ever watched a soccer match and the officials put their hands out like this, they're pretty much saying, yeah, there was a foul, but it didn't affect the play. It means
Yep.
play on, play on. So if a guy is off sides in soccer, but there's no gain, in other words, he doesn't take a shot on goal or it doesn't set up a great pass, for an assist for a goal. And they wait to see, does it have an effect on the play? And nothing drives me crazier than a hold to be called on the far side of the field on a fast screen to the near side of the field. Now, if the guy tackled him and the ball carried all the way, the ball carrier ran it 40, 50 yards down the field, an argument could be made that kid could have got in pursuit and maybe helped make the tackle. But it's like a 3 or 4 yard gain on a fast screen, and you got a hold on the left tackle on a play that went to the right sideline. Come on, man. You're just looking to throw a flag now.
Yep.
I mean, was it a foul? Yeah, but did it have an effect on the outcome of the play? Did the offensive team have an unfair advantage? That's
Correct.
my thing. So,
No,
good job,
you're
Mike. I love that.
100%. Well, thank you. Well, and that's the fun part about what I do is some people are going to appreciate it. One side loved that I didn't throw the flag. Unfortunately, the other side didn't. So, but one thing that we are being trained to do, and again, it is something that we are getting better with, is, and the quote I use is, I let it marinate for a second. I let
Very
it.
good.
Did I see what I thought I saw? If I didn't see the whole play, I'm not throwing it. If I just saw a glimpse of it, and I use this example, I worked a sub varsity game and a kid got blown up. Now, I was the referee in the sub varsity game, but the way we used to do it, I was on the defensive side, so the play happened behind me. It sounded like a car crash. There was a big collision. I turn around and I see a flag, and I'm like, all right, Joey, I'm not going to name the official, but I'm like, Joey, what do you got on it? And he's like, Mike, it just sounded bad. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, it sounded like just too big of a hit. I'm like, did you see it? He's like, no. I'm like, we're not throwing that flag. I said, I don't like doing this, but I'm going to wave this flag off because unless you saw it, unless it was a true blindside block, or unless it was something like that, we got to make sure that we see it first and then throw it. Let it marinate. Make sure that I know what I saw, and I can go over to you as the coach and say, Coach, this is what I have. Not, Coach, I think this is what I have, because that's not good officiating on my end. I got to know what I saw, and I got to be able to explain it to a coach and be able to give them the rationale behind it. Coach, this is why I didn't call it. Coach, this is why I did call it. So got to be able to answer both sides. So that's why I let it kind of marinate a little bit before I pull that flag out. We're not looking to be trigger happy. We're looking to see it. Another great tip I've gotten is I'm looking to have sniper eyes. So I'm looking to keep my focus, keep my body movement as minimal as possible so that I'm able to see everything that I need to see. And if I do see it, think about it. What's effect? Okay. Hold by the right tackle. Plays going to the left. Not affecting it. Not throwing it.
That's
No.
good. That's good. No, talking about seeing the whole play, I'm a big buck guy. Even in my spread stuff, we run the buck sweep. And the thing I always did early on in a game, I would take like the fastest kid I got and run buck with him and tell him, don't read the block, just haul butt, try to get outside and set up the buck for later so we can stretch the defense and get the kick. So it's early in the game. I give it to the fastest kid on our team. He was like the state track guy, won the state in the 100. And he hauls butt around the end. Well, my pulling guard, that's the kicker, goes to kick the outside linebacker, and he hits him. Well, that's when the outside linebacker sees the guy's going outside, and he turns his body to go pursue the ball. Well, my kid finishes the block. They called that a clip. I said, "Nah, dude, it wasn't a clip. He hit him in the face." He said,
Yeah.
"Coach, he pushed him from behind." I said, "Yeah, because the kid turned." And it didn't have an effect on the game, but it just, that kind of stuff bothered me because you're not seeing the whole play, you know, and that happens. I've got that on video. I've got a collection of things like that on a file.
Yep.
I
But
won't tell you what the name of the file. I won't tell you the name of the file, but
well, that's why we're out here, though, Coach. That's why we're doing what we're doing right now.
it's gotten so much better in the last 10, 15 years down here. It's not even funny. I mean, it's good. It's so much better. I tell young coaches, I said, guys, you should have been in it 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's what we're looking for today. So, Coach, if I could ask you if you've got any younger guys that are their playing career, it may be coming to an end and still want to stay involved, but coaching wise, their schedule won't allow them. This is a great outlet for them. Get them into the stripes, keeps them involved in the game, and especially if they've got some playing experience and they know and they've been in the trenches a little bit. It's something that's what we're looking for. We're looking to get those college kids that, maybe they're working the 9 to 5 jobs and can't get to a sub varsity game, but they can get to a Friday night game at 7:30. Those are the people that we're looking to try to get more and more of, to get that quantity along with the quality. So if you have any former players or any guys out there, please promote it, have them get in touch with the local associations that they may be near, and see if they can get involved.
that's another thing, coaches. Quit complaining about officials to your kids, even in the weight room or whatever, because those kids now won't be officials because my coach said they're bad. They'd say, why don't you become an official? We need, encourage your kid. When they would come and call our scrimmages, Mike, I'd let the referees talk to the kids before and after the scrimmage. And they would, the head of the association was there a lot of times because we're friends. And I would let him do a commercial, say, how many seniors you got? And they'd raise their hand. He goes, hey, guys, if this is the end of your career, if you want to stay in football, and I always let him come in and give that little, get more officials out there. So
Yeah, and that's actually something I've got lined up where I'm going to go talk with a couple teams via Zoom or in person, and just other than the podcast, where I'm going to go in person and I'm going to let them ask me questions and try and recruit, especially with the college guys. So it's out there, Coach. I think we've kind of reached our tipping point. I know you got to go get some lures swimming in the water and try to get those things a little wet. Once again, Coach Chip Seagle, loved having you on today. Thank you very much for taking the time. Come on, Whistle Talk, Coach. One more time, let everybody know your websites and your information again.
It's a Football Talk with Coach Chip on YouTube. It's Football Talk with Coach Chip, the podcast on Spotify, and I hope in about 3 hours on Apple. And I
Soon to
got
be
my
on
Apple
Apple.
guy
Yep.
coming. Yeah, and then also Football Talk with Coach Chip is a Facebook group, and I'm at Chip Seagle, Coach Chip at Chip Seagle on Twitter/X.
That's
And I
awesome
just
stuff.
love.
Go ahead. I'm
Go ahead.
sorry.
I just love
Uh,
talking football. I love talking football. That's why it's called Football Talk with Coach Chip. That's just come on.
Come on, that's awesome, and I will have all of those links on the website and on the show notes for everybody, so you'll be able to click right on those and take a look at them. And again, it's a resource that I am still using right now, coaching 12-year-old football players. So it's definitely something that worth the look. Oh,
That's my
Coach.
aim. That's my aim. Small varsity and sub varsity, because it's a different beast than the places that have 90 and 100 kids. It's a different beast in
Oh yeah,
college and pro ball. And so my aim is, and a lot of the people I correspond with, coaching, like you said, 11 and under, 12 and under. I've got a guy right now out in Colorado that I'm helping with his playbook, doing some consulting with him for an 11 and under team. But if you are a rec league, youth league coach, so any sub varsity coach, go hit my channel up. It's stuff you can use.
absolutely. I agree. From what I have watched, I am definitely taking some stuff. So it is an awesome resource out there, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you definitely go out there and hit that up. Coach, once again, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing the stuff in the future and seeing what you got going on with your podcast. And if there's anything that I can do for you, you got my contact, you got my phone number. Please feel free. Always reach out to me. I'm here for you. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Coach Chip Seagle.
Thank you.
Hey, Whistle Talk fans, are you enjoying what you're listening to? Be sure to hit the like button so that you can join us every week as we break down the nuances of officiating that often go unnoticed. We want to hear from you, the passionate fans who make our game so special. Like what you hear? Hit the like button and let us know. Have a burning question or a hot take? Drop us a comment below to join the conversation.